Hey, thanks for clicking on this video. To help us grow this channel, please leave a like, a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Here are some exercises you can perform during your warm-up prior to doing these drills. In the meantime, I wanted to talk about how to get match fit. To get match fit, you will want to incorporate interval training into your training days. The following drills I will be showing you are essentially interval training. This means that you will do a certain activity at 100% intensity followed by a rest period. You'll repeat this for several repetitions and sets. This type of training is very good to use to get back into game shape because this type of training is very similar to movements you'll be doing in a real game. In addition, these drills improve your lactate threshold, which means you'll be able to run harder and for longer periods of time. If you have been inactive for a lengthy period of time, it's best to take it lighter and ease your way back into this type of training since it can be quite intense. Also, keep in mind, you don't have to do all of these drills every time you train. These are just example drills that you can incorporate into your training. You can pick and choose which ones you want to do at any given time. Here is the diagram to set up the next drill. Set up 6 cones that are evenly spaced within 10 yards. Then place another set of 6 cones 30 yards away. Start off by dribbling in and out through the cones. Once you reach the final cone, take a heavy touch and sprint towards the other end of cones. Once you reach the other end, dribble through the cones and then take a heavy touch back to the starting position. Once you reach the starting cone, repeat this process 2 more times. Now rest until your heart rate returns to normal. This counts as 1 repetition. Do a total of 3 repetitions. Set up 5 cones 5 yards apart as shown in this diagram. Start off by dribbling the ball to the 5-yard cone and back. Then leave the ball and sprint to the 10-yard cone and back. Then dribble to the 15-yard cone and back. Then sprint to the 20-yard cone and back. Then dribble to the 15-yard cone and back. Then sprint to the 10-yard cone and back. Then finally dribble to the 5-yard cone and back. Now rest for 90 seconds or until your heart rate returns to normal. This counts as 1 repetition. Do a total of 3 repetitions. Set up a grid that measures 50 by 20 yards and place a cone in the center. First, sprint to the center cone. Once you reach the center, dribble back to the start cone. Once you reach the start cone, dribble back to the center cone. Once you reach the center cone, leave the ball and sprint straight across to the next cone. Once you reach the cone, sprint back to the center. Once you reach the center cone, dribble to the next cone. Once you reach the cone, dribble back to the center cone. Once you reach the center cone, leave the ball and sprint back to the previous cone. Once you reach the cone, sprint back to the center and then dribble straight across to the next cone. Once you reach the cone, dribble back to the center. Now rest for 90 seconds or until your heart rate returns to normal. This counts as 1 repetition. Do a total of 3 repetitions. Make sure to do a cool down and stretch after doing any of these drills. I just want to show you some stretches you can do for your cool down and recap this entire video. Essentially, a main component of getting match fit is to incorporate interval style training because this style of training improves your lactate threshold, which will allow you to run harder and longer during a game. In addition, this style of training mimics movement patterns that you will do in a real game. After doing these drills for a couple of weeks, you'll start to notice that your endurance is a lot better. And one final note, if you haven't done any training or cardio in a long time, then it's best to take it easier and do lighter forms of cardio before you jump into these drills. That way you can prevent any injuries from occurring.